Yes, women made a difference in America because they had to learn the roles that were meant for a male role. With taking care of children, doing household chores, they still wanted to work and put their part in the war. If it wasn't for the sacrifices for the women had made, the men wouldn't have won the war. They would come around to high school students and ask them if they wanted to help out or work. They picked where they wanted to work. Most women worked in factories. They had to take classes about their jobs. Most of the families had these books called stamp books for the amount of food the family would get. They would take girls that were 16 and say they were 18 just so they could help out in factories. Many girls had pen pals that were cross sea over at war. They would write about how the war was and what they had to go through. Most Americans were drawn to the war. Clothing was a big disadvantage for the women. They only had clothes for men, so they had to use their uniforms, and sometimes it wouldn't cover everything.
So we just heard it on the radio, and then my brother went in right in the beginning after the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, and then later on, they came, I guess after the war went on for a while, most of the guys, went in service. So they needed people to work in the shipyards and the Navy yards. They had to build more ships. So they came around to our high school and wanted to sign up for girls. And you had a choice where you wanted to go. And so they got a bus load and we took off and we decided to go to Norfolk. And then we stopped at the courthouse in Abington and they swore you in, you had to sign papers, and then that's when they you chose where you wanted to go. So we chose Norfolk, and they drop off girls along the way, different places. And so then we went to the school. It was a lot of acres on it, and they had a girls' dormitory there, and then boys over here, and they had shops around, and we chose welding, my sister and I. We chose welding. And they had machinists, sheet metal, and all that stuff, And we had to go every day and take classes. And they bring stuff in for you to do until you learn how to. And then when you finished all that, I don't remember how long we had to go to school, but they gave you a test, and then they took us over to the Navy Yard and signed us up and everything. That's where they brought in the ships that had been damaged in battle, into the Navy Yard. They didn't build them there. And we had, right in the dry dock right beside of our shop, we had the Yorktown there. That was one of their biggest aircraft carriers. That had been damaged in battle.
Oh my God, yeah.
We worked on that, and then they brought in a German ship they captured. And when we went out, you had to wear a badge with your picture on it to get out the Navy Yard. For security, Oh, yeah. Well, it started out, you couldn't get cooking oil, and you couldn't get nylon hose. They only gave you cent like for gas so much. You couldn't go on a trip. And tires was rationed, and gasoline, and a lot of stuff like that. They had to save that for the military.
Did it affect your meals at all, like not having
where you cut down on food, like you could only have maybe 2 meals a day rather than 3? Like,
Well, they gave you some kind of a stamp book, each person in the family, and you could only buy how many stamps you had. And I know we went to, when we were working, after we went to the Navy Yard, my cousin, she never did, her mother didn't send her stamp book with her, and so she worked while they kept telling her, she had to have it. She didn't get it, so they sent her home. My husband, your papa, he worked, that's where I met him. He was working in the shipyard.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they wouldn't let you quit a wartime job, and he wanted to go in service. And, because I guess you feel kind of like you should be when everybody else says, they wouldn't turn him loose. So finally, he told them he was going to quit anyway. So they let him go, so he joined the Army then. He was wounded twice, and he got a Purple Heart. He had to stay he stayed in the hospital they sent him back home to Staunton, Virginia, to the military hospital. And he stayed there a while, and then they sent him out here to have a hospital at Butner, a military hospital. He stayed out there several months. And my brother, he stayed 14 years in the service. He went in when the Pearl Harbor was bombed.
Mm-hmm. Women used to be X-ray technicians, inspectors of Army meat, teachers of schooling Army men, assist interviewers, electricians, welders, riveters in defense plants.
Hey, there goes one of those petticoat soldiers now.
Yeah. My sister wants to join the wax. What do you think of that?
Huh. She's crazy. What the devil's the woman want to be a soldier for?
Just a waste of time. This is a man's war. What sort of jobs can they do?
What sort of jobs can we do? Take a look, mister. X-ray technicians, inspectors of Army meat, teachers schooling our soldiers, wax or classification experts, assignment interviewers.
So this is a man's war, is it? Whacks are at work on every sort of Army vehicle, doing every sort of motor transport job, testing walkie-talkies, testing radio tubes. Those are just a few of the jobs they do. There are 239 more. Hey, you two armchair generals on the porch, here's something more for you to think about. Listen.
General Eisenhower said, in many jobs, whacks do the work of two men. The Army needs and can use all it can get.
And listen to the women of the United Nations. They, too, have some ideas on the subject. The English with their calm courage, the stalwart women of heroic Russia, the Canadian and Australian women, the women of China with their undying fortitude, and tens of thousands of American whacks. What are their ideas on the subject? Listen.
We shall live up to the legends of our fighting men.
Where did these thousands come from? Where will the United States Army get thousands more? Thousands to back up manpower for battle abroad. Who are the women who will help retain the needed manpower for the production battle at home? Who are the women who will help fight our country's war? It's Mary Jones, Jane Doe. It's the idle housewife, and the girl next door. Oh, yes, it's your war, too, Miss and Mrs. America.
Here at Fort Oglethorpe in Georgia, one of the most beautiful Army posts in the world, we, the newly hatched WACs, gather to learn what all the shooting's about. Our kind of shooting. From morning till night, we hustle through a very novel, interesting life. Not just classes and drill and duty, but all kinds of women's sports and recreation. We work hard and play hard. We learn that the Army's privileges as well as its hardships are ours. We get furlough rates on trains, special prices at theaters, special life insurance rates. We know that the rumors about the WACs are so much hot air. Scratch that one out. Off-duty, rayon, or whatever you can get.
You can't use makeup.
No rouge.
No lipstick.
No nail polish. No rouge.
No lipstick. No nail polish.
No rouge.
No lipstick. No nail polish.
Toss that one in the ash can.
Everybody's hair is alike. The same old hairdo. The same old hairdo. The same.
Nonsense. Our hairdress is up to us as long as it's neat, smart, and off the collar.
All work and no fun. All work and no fun.
Strictly Axis propaganda.
From WAC training centers at Fort Oglethorpe and at Des Moines, WACs go forth to Army posts, camps, specialist schools, air bases, to every part of the United States. Savannah, St. Louis, Newport, Baton Rouge, Seattle, Santa Barbara. To Washington, our nation's capital, come hundreds of WACs, many to be stationed in the famous Pentagon building and attached to the combined chiefs of staff. WACs are entrusted with tasks involving the utmost secrecy. Here, the important work of decoding messages whose information must be carefully guarded and transcribed with perfect accuracy. At Aberdeen Proving Ground, valuable men have been released for combat duty by WACs, inspecting mammoth tanks, computing ordnance firing tables for the light, accurate American carbines, the carbines that have canceled the effectiveness of many a Nazi and many a Jap. Here, they also check the efficiency of remote control units and make secret ballistic measurements. These are just a few of the important and interesting jobs done by WACs. At air bases here and overseas, women soldiers perform over 25 technical jobs. War jobs now, but civilian careers later on.
We are in the machine shop, in the repair shop. We rig the parachute. We guide our flyers home.
Altitude 5,000 feet. 5000. Request landing instructions.
Mitchell Field Tower to Army 3131. Circle field twice at 3,000 feet.
Let me in, will you? I've got a heavy date tonight.
Keep your chute on, Lieutenant. Field won't be clear for 5 minutes.
Potential American pilots are taught blind flying by our WACs. They are taught to handle night raids over Europe and the Black Pacific, taught to navigate safely through black space, loaded with hidden peril. Thousands of WACs volunteer for overseas duty, eager to serve in the actual theater of operations, the goal toward which they've worked and trained. Wherever the American armies will go, WACs may follow. Women have proven their definite value in England, in North Africa, in Algiers, in New Caledonia, India, and Egypt. Every WAC making the war shorter by a month, a week, a day, a minute. Yes, wherever the American armies will go, WACs may follow. To Berlin and Tokyo, too. Ladies and gentlemen, General Marshall.
The Women's Army Corps is an integral part of the Army of the United States. And its members, who are soldiers in every sense of the word, perform a full military part in this war. There are hundreds of important Army jobs which women can perform as effectively as men. In fact, we find that they can do some of these jobs much better than the men. As more and more American soldiers engage the enemy in combat, women must replace them at overseas bases and at posts in this country. In view of the urgency of the situation, enlistment in the military service should take precedence, in my opinion, over any other responsibility except imperative family obligation.
Many wrote letters to themselves or loved ones talking about the war and their experience and what they had to go through. Many Americans were encouraged to recycle material, waste, fat, and metal. Everything in that time was related to World War II, like movies, radios, songs, even comic books were all related to the war and what was happening.